Right, there we are. We're live again. I don't know. I don't know.
For some reason, the tagline on mine says "coming of age episode" rather than.
I couldn't.
Oh, why does it say that then?
I don't know.
I can't. How do I edit? Oh no, yeah.
You are.
I can hear myself on the internet.
At least we're on the internet.
At least we're on. At least we're on. I shouldn't have said anything at the beginning of the stream that this is looking good to this evening. But I think so. I think it was Virgin. I think it was a Virgin issue in our street or something. Doesn't seem to be anything. I'm going to have to get rid of. Oh god, I got to set the chat thing up again because that no longer works. Bear with me, everyone. Sorry about this. I do apologise.
Bear with us, caller.
Bear with us. We're having technical difficulties. And there we go. Chat is back. Hello, chat. If you're back, I don't think anybody's with us any longer. Oh no.
Oh, 3.
No, it's telling me it's dropping again.
Oh.
Anyway, we'll carry on. We'll carry on regardless until it disappears. But we're still here at the moment, I think. Right. So I'll say sorry about that. We are continuing now. And I've spelled continuing wrong. Never mind.
Spell checker.
I need, yeah. I think it does have a spell checker as well. You know.
Stu Plum was getting worried there.
Was he?
Yeah. Back.
We're back. We are back. But
we've lost the answers to the question as well. So
yeah.
I believe Stu Plum did answer. I'll see if I can. Can I check what it had?
I lost it. I came out. A is the line. B, prematurely charging, or C, out of phase due to solar flares.
I think Stu Plum guessed correctly.
Yeah, let's just say he did.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Let's say, yeah. Stu Plum, you'll get that answer right.
Because in my head I was like, oh, he's got 76 points now.
Smiler gets all answers right.
And it was A, wasn't it? Misalignment.
It was indeed.
Yeah. Right. I just want to bring back the image.
They're having their electrical fight.
They're having their electrical fight, staticizing each other. They break it up. Yar breaks it up by phasering him, and they call security in, and then so they're walking back through the corridor, and Yar wonders out loud like how easy it's going to be to restrain these people, because you can't exactly tell them to give up their weapons because they've got an innate electrical powers. So it's an interesting challenge for her as head of security.
What security risk was that pose?
Yeah.
A big one.
A big one.
Definitely.
And they also, like this, I think is incorrectly regarded as a goof, but some people have commented that they were all, ooh, never heard of this kind of power before. But actually, the very exact same kind of electrical power was in a 60s episode. But then, would you know that? I mean, do they expect everybody in Starfleet to know the history of every species that any other previous starship encountered? So I still think it's quite reasonable that they wouldn't have heard of it, even if Starfleet have encountered a similar ability before.
Yeah. It's literally like millions of cultures, I mean, you're not going to know them, remember them all.
Stuplum confirmed that he answered A, so yeah.
You got it right.
Points to you, Stuplum.
Yay.
Yay. I'm all discombobulated. In the observation lounge, the two parties are trying to come to an agreement over the cargo, but without much success. And the captain there is not Marcus. He's Tijan, and he asked Picard if he offered to fix his freighter before they beamed out and it was destroyed. Could he possibly fix their other freighters, because they rely on their freighters to deliver the cargo from the Brachians?
They've only got 2 left.
They got 2 left, and Picard asked Data, and Data confirms that if it's the same sort of problems, it should be easily fixed. So that's good. They're happy with that. And then Dijon goes on to explain that the cargo's medicine, and they need it to treat a plague that's ravaged their planet for, centuries. And the Brachians tell Picard that whilst they might sound heartless, the cargo represents a massive investment from the Brachian people to produce the medicine, the meds, for the Onarans, for their plague. And so they can't just give it away, because it's their lifeblood as well. Ramus.
I like it when,
sorry.
I was going to say, I like it when they said how many doses it was.
Yeah. I'm sure that may be a question in a minute.
Not quite.
No. Okay. The data comes up with the exact amount of dosage.
Yeah. Ramus, the other Onaran, says, well, you'll get to see exactly what the plague does to our people if you don't give us the meds, because we'll deteriorate before your eyes. And that sends the Enterprise crew into a bit of a panic, because they're like, what, you? Oh, yeah, we both have the plague. All our people have the plague. And they're like, what? Why did the screening out sensors and the transporter pick up anything? But it didn't. So Picard declares a medical emergency and asks Beverly to come to the observation lounge. Then we cut to the Onarans in sick bay, and they're suffering due to the lack of medicine, and the Brachians are still refusing to help. Beverly can't find any evidence of any disease or anything. She's very confused. She's a very confused doctor at this point. But she is developing an active dislike for the Brachians. And for good reason. They're pretty obnoxious people. They're not very nice.
Yeah, Beverly gets a bit cross, doesn't she, with them, in a way?
Yeah, and because, I fully understand. But he does agree to talk to the Brachians on behalf of the Onarans to see if he can negotiate some sort of assistance. And the Brachians agree to give them 2 doses for immediate use. No extra charge. I thought they sounded a bit Ferengi-ish at that point,
Yeah.
Or when Ferengis have, pressured into doing something,
And there's always a reason behind.
There's always a reason. They always give away the the bare minimum and make it seem like doing such a wonderful thing for you.
It's like with the sound keys, putting them for free on the bar, and they're like, "What? You're giving them away for free?" And it's because they're so salty that they make people reach for the drink, and it's going to drive up more profit.
That's why bars put crisps and peanuts on the bar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, an old
She says
trick.
reaching for a drink.
That is an old trick. It gets me every time. Yeah. So, but they agree, but they say we want to be present at the when it's opened up in the storage. So they open up the first container.
And as Smiler Rainbow and Karen have both pointed out, those are
Lentils.
very obviously red lentils.
Yeah.
But also that. Sorry,
go on.
I was going to say also that dispenser thing is actually a part of a car alternator.
It looks like a car alternator.
It's a car part.
If you take that out, it's got like a copper coil thing, and it's got like inside.
I have to say that those lentils or the dosage do actually look like little tiny hot wax pellets. So, I did think, are they using hot wax pellets before they're melted down?
They're absolutely red lentils.
They are indeed.
And there's 4 billion of them, I think, in one container.
No, 4,375,000,000.
Yes, thank you, Data. It just makes me... no, I'm not going to talk about it. So, yes. Blah, blah, blah. 4 billion doses. Blah, blah, blah. 4 million, blah, blah, blah. It suppresses the sickness for 72 hours. Beverly thinks that's very potent. They have refined the process for years. And in fact, their whole economy is based on making it. They don't do anything else. Their whole people, everything is geared around producing this medicine for the Anarans. And the Anarans, in return, give them resources for them to live. So they provide the Anarans life, and the Anarans provide the Breccians everything they need to live. So it's like a symbiotic relationship, as you will. In sickbay, Beverly gives the medicine to the Anarans, and they feel much better. In fact, it looks like they feel too much better. And Beverly in the background's looking at them and like, this is kind of a sus situation going on right here. As they're like, yeah, man, whoa. Yeah.
She does look rather disapproving, doesn't she?
She does, yes. How dare they just suddenly instantly feel better?
Like you've done something wrong here.
Yeah.
It's like the penny kind of drops for her, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And this reminds me, I'd recommend anybody who likes YouTube out there to Google Star Trek Acid Party, which is like a 40-minute experience. It's a 40-minute experience of Star Trek The Next Generation as if you were going through an acid trip.
It's quite funny.
It's amazing in places, and if you read the description, the people know what they're talking about, because it gives like all the different levels of going on an acid trip and choreographs the music and the content of each bit to match that sort of part of the LSD experience. And it is a trip through Star Trek The Next Generation like you would have never taken in your life. So I recommend, it's fun. I recommend, searching on YouTube, Star Trek Acid Party. You won't regret it. It's great. I just love the intro.
Now that we have an indication that, these drugs are narcotics. I wanted to just say that it's called Felicium, which is actually
Felicium,
Yeah, that's actually Latin for happy. So I think that's like a play on ecstasy or something.
Well, they definitely are quite happy when they're taken.
Yeah,
Sure.
it definitely makes them happy. That's for sure.
Reminds me of that song, When I Get High, When I Get High. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
The song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, ah.
Yeah. So Beverly reports Picard in the ready room and tells him that they're basically, the Anarans are all drug addicts. That they're a population of drug addicts. And on the bridge, Data gives a summary of their histories. So once upon a time, there were two worlds that orbited next to each other. And the Anarans had become a more actually advanced civilization than the Breccians. And the Breccians were a bit jealous of the Anarans. But then the Anarans were struck down by a plague, of which the cure could only be found on a plant that was on Breccia. So Breccians developed a treatment for the plague, which actually cured the plague a long time ago, but the treatment was highly addictive. And they've been supplying the Anarans with it ever since. And then
there is a next question, but I mean, it's almost like you've probably said it about 40 times. It's not multiple choice, but I think it's going to be quite easy.
Let's give Stu Plum a chance for even more points.
Yeah.
If he's still there.
Stu Plum, are you still here? Is anyone else still here?
I don't think anybody's watching. Let me go on. Command question.
No.
Is that 50 hill points?
50 points. 50 points.
50
What
points.
is the name of the species that are manufacturing this drug? Again, what is the question? What is the name of the species that are manufacturing this drug?
There you go.
There you go.
Now see if Monty can carry on with his description without saying that.
Edit mode engaged.
You're going to just say blank.
I might just blurt it out now and just get it over and done with. Just save myself the anxiety and just say it. I'll just say it 100 times right now. I'll just say it over and over again, just because I want to get it out. You can't believe how much I want to say that word now. Okay. Anyway, Picard says they can't do anything about. Sorry, Karen. What was it?
I can almost see your mind trying to filter out that word as you're reading.
Yeah. Picard says they can't do anything about the situation because of the Prime Directive, and Beverly is not happy about that. She is not happy.
No.
So Wes asks Data and Yar that really, why would anybody want to become addicted to drugs? And it turns into a bit of an American PBS anti-drugs campaign
Just say no.
Just say no. Red Letter Media made a video about this episode this week, funnily enough. And they said at this point they expect Mr. T to come out and remember,
it was
kids.
Quite cringe. Apparently, a lot of the cast, this was put in, and it was one of the things that the cast were like, "Oh, don't do that. That'd be really cheesy." But they put it in anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was all like during Reagan's time with all the war on drugs and that. So again, this was very topical for the time and what was happening in politics and stuff.
Yeah. So Yar explains that like people on my planet, they were living in horrible situations and they use drugs to escape. Well, I don't understand why they'd be able to. Well, it just makes you feel better. It makes you not think about the situation you're in. And eventually you don't realize, because your mind's been fuddled with the drugs, you don't realize you've gotten into a state where you're dependent on them. And, that's how it happens. And bless him, he still doesn't really get it. He's like, no, I'm maybe just too young. I still don't get it. And she's like, well, I hope you never do, Wesley. And he kind of doesn't, because later on he comes back in the show when the entire ship is addicted to a computer game where they make their eyes like flip a coin into a funnel And he doesn't get addicted to that either. So he really does manage to avoid the whole addiction thing.
Sort of missed out on teenage life.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, after he's like, I don't really get it, and Data next to him's kind of like, Data doesn't get it either.
He's doing his whole observation of human nature from the sidelines thing.
Yeah. After Yard did her explanation, you think Data's like, oh, I thought I understood, but no, I don't think I understand. So yeah, that was quite funny, watching Data's face. Have we got answers to a question? Or was I imagining that? No, I was, because I was not saying any words. Yes.
Are you going to guess who?
I think we're back.
Manufacturing the drug then?
I think we're back. Sorry, we're back.
Hardline.
Hardline. I don't think it's my Wi-Fi. I think it's the house connected to the internet. I think it's my actual router. I think there's some Virgin issue in the area on this side of Darford. Because, yeah. Anyway, hopefully you're back. Are you back? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh.
Yep.
We didn't get any answers then, did we?
You. No. So you may as well tell him the answer.
Tell him the answer, and we will have no correct answers.
Nil point.
Nil point. So
Answer.
Yeah, what's the answer then?
Bracken.
Yes, Breccian. You're ready, Breccian.
Yeah.
ready, Breccian. Yeah. In the guest quarters, the Anaran leader is pleading with them. Pleading for the medicine.
From the planet.
Yeah, the guy from the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Context the shit.
Yeah. You're probably going to tell me he's been in another episode or something.
No.
No news of that guy.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So as they're desperate, Dijon takes Riker hostage.
And you got a picture of that. I've just got a note that says "lols" to his face.
Yeah.
For a long time.
It would make a good thumbnail, YouTube thumbnail face, because YouTubers like to have thumbnails where they're like, so that it would make a good one of those, wouldn't it? So he takes him hostage, and Picard's like, "I'll kill him."
No, he says, "I don't believe you're a killer."
No,
so he
that's
doesn't
right.
back down.
But Picard doesn't back down because he doesn't give a monkey's.
He's putting his first officers. I mean, I know he's taken a calculated risk, but still, would you bank on your first officer's life with people you barely know who are drug addicts and desperate to save their entire planet?
I'm guessing Riker's going to need
Bit of a gamble.
I'm guessing Riker's going to need a new comm badge after this incident.
I thought you were going to say a new pair of underpants after this.
Well, probably that too. Probably that too, because he looks so tense.
It reminds me of that game you play when you're kids with statues. You've got to stay, and when the music stops, you've got to stay in that pose.
I thought it's more like Operation. He's going for his heart, but he's like touched the side. Yes, and yeah, lo and behold, Dijon's not a killer, and he does let Riker go. The Breccians decide to give them the medicine, which is a turn up for the books, and so they're really pleased. But Picard's like, and there goes the other shoe, and Beverly's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, there's no longer any pretense. It shows that they also know that there's no longer a plague. And they don't want the Anarans to break their addiction. Yeah. Stuplum says the comm badge is buggered. Yeah. There's an interesting anecdote anecdote. I think it's this episode about a comm badge. Shall I tell you about it? You know, they film these episodes out of order.
Yeah.
So this is actually Yar's last episode.
Yeah.
This is the last episode Yar filmed before she walked off the set.
Yeah.
And recently, the producer of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Rick Berman, tweeted a picture of a beat-up comms badge. And he was like, this has been on my desk for the last 35 years. This is Yar's comm badge that she gave me after last day of filming the Skin of Evil on the first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yeah. To which, what's she called? Denise Crosby replied on Twitter, "No, Rick, my last episode was Symbiosis, because you remember we filmed them out of order on that, and on leaving the set, you ripped the comm badge off my chest and said, you won't be needing this anymore." Burn, Rick Berman. And it's gone down in Twitter lore, that exchange has. It's like a very famous Twitter exchange that got Rick Berman in a lot of heat. He got a lot of flack from Twitter, the Twitter community, about that. But anyway, it's just an interesting little story. Just goes to show the disconnect between how the producers saw season 1 and how it was going, and the actors, you know. There you go.
But the question is if at the end of the day, how did is she following the director on Twitter to see that comment, or?
Well, someone in her community has highlighted it.
Tweeted about you.
Yeah.
You can imagine the back chat on that one.
Yeah. But yeah, he took some flack over it.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't want them to break their addiction. So the Breckians want to know what he's going to do, but Picard says nothing. I'm not going to do anything about any of this because you're not Federation members and I'm not going to break the Prime Directive. Surprisingly, once again, Beverly's not happy.
He's not.
At all.
He says it's not symbiosis, it's exploitation.
Yeah. And I can kind of see her point. But I can also see Picard's point. Mm-hmm. In the shuttle bay, Picard informs the Anarans they are indeed beaming down with their Felicium. And of course they're overjoyed. Because they've got all the parts they need to fix their shuttles. They're ready for them by the transport pad. And now they've got their Felicium. But in giving them Felicium, They thank the Breckians for saving their culture, and yes, they're welcome to come join us to continue the discussions of how they're going to pay for it in the future. And they go to take the coils, and Picard's like, "No, you're not getting that now." And they're like, "But if you don't give us the tools we need to fix the other two freighters, soon we're not going to be able to transport the Felicium to our planet." And Picard's like, "Well, I suggest you learn. So fix them yourselves." And sends them on their way. So the Onarans go and they're like, "You doomed us all to death." And so they leave thinking Picard is like some sort of like the Antichrist.
God was quite sharp when he said that, I have to say. It was like, no.
You've doomed us all. Yeah. So that's it, yeah.
It doesn't really stack up though, does it? I mean, they would learn if they became that desperate, or they'd procure it from somewhere else, or the Breckians would just give them a ship, in order to keep trade lines going. They all act as if, oh, this means Picard has solved the issue. But nah, the Breckians would just give them a ship or a couple ships, surely.
No, I don't think they have. I don't think they have any ability to go anywhere. I don't think they're that advanced a culture. They're pretty much isolated to their own. Literally, the two planets, all they have left now are these two like shuttles that go between the planets. I don't think they have any contact with the outside world, really.
They did develop spacefaring technology in the first place, though, so you'd think, they could do it again if they had to.
Yeah, but it's before they become brain-addled drug addicts.
Yeah. I guess it's a question of how long does that 4 billion doses last?
Yeah.
If each one's 72 hours, depends on how many people are on the planet.
I mean, what's that guitarist from the Rolling Stones called?
Keith Richards?
Keith Richards. It's like having like 200 generations of Keith Richards and then asking them to develop warp capabilities. It's not going to go well, is it?
No, that's true.
But I did hear that going on about Keith Richards and Rolling Stones, that they used to have like shots of alcohol before their gigs. Now, as they're in their tender, mature years, they have shots of wheatgrass and more healthy stuff before going on.
Well, it's funny as you get older how that becomes more important. The whole living aspect of living. Yeah. So in the turbo lift on the way back up to the bridge, Picard gives a speech about the Prime Directive and how it's not just a simple rule, it's a whole philosophy that must be adhered to, because else they just go around the universe trying to correct everybody's way of thinking. And they enter the bridge and Geordie is like, heading, sir? To do the normal, off to their next mission bit. And Picard's like, oh, I don't care.
I just want to go.
Let's just get some distance from this place, right? And so Geordie chooses a destination. And like, what? Why? And he's like, I've never been there. They're like, fair enough. Engage.
Thing is, they didn't finish looking at the star. That's what they were sent there for in the first place. They wouldn't have been able to just abandon their mission willy-nilly and go wherever exploring to their own whim.
No, I think by the end of it, Picard thought, fuck it. So,
Naughty.
Yeah, naughty words. Yeah, I think he got to that stage of it, and he,
I like the way that Picard actually pauses when they're him and Crusher in the
Turbo lift.
That's it. He's just like, pause, hold. He goes, hold.
Yeah.
It's just like, I've got to explain. Hold. I've had enough of this.
There's 20 decks of people all stand by the turbo lift going, this turbo lift's usually like instant, and I've been standing here for 5 minutes.
Well, having a conversation.
Did you have any more pictures?
Oh, sorry. I've been forgetting my picture bit. No. What's that girl? What's that person doing?
That's a reverse picture. Basically, if you watch, as Beverly and him are leaving the cargo bay, just as they go towards, I'm surprised you don't know this, Mark, as they're going towards the turbo lift, just as they're walking along, you see Denise Crosby in the background, and at the last minute she leans over and goes like this. She's waving goodbye to her fans, because that's the last scene she was ever filmed
in. That's her last scene.
She just does it really. She's just stood there quite static, and then at the last minute she just goes. But apparently it was quite a famous thing that she did.
I did not know that.
Yeah, being that you knew about her Twitter row and stuff, I thought, oh, he's going to know about the wave.
No, I didn't know.
And they didn't even pick it up on post-production.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, whether it was allowed or not, but either they didn't pick it up or it was something she was allowed to do. But the famous wave. So that was worth knowing. This was one of only 5 episodes ever without a star date, apparently. The Anarans, they had like a little lumpy nose.
Yeah, it was almost like Bajoran.
Yep, that was what was the kind of inspiration and formed the basis for the Bajoran prosthetic makeup, but slightly simplified. And there were a whole bunch of continuity problems on set again. I mean, they had so many rewrites that apparently the cast was saying what's happening in this scene is completely opposite to the last scene, and trying to explain to people who were desperately rewriting things that it wasn't making any sense. So once again, how this episode hung together to make any kind of sense is beyond anyone. But yeah, I think that's about it really. But I thought the wave was quite sweet actually.
Yeah.
Nice touch.
I think the story come together though, even though with the rewrites, it did manage to, it had its problems, but it kind of made sense. Quite enjoyed it.
Is there a last question before I continue commenting?
The last question, and it's a captain's question. So, Stu Plum,
100 points.
are you ready, Stu Plum? Are you there? Give us a yes in chat if you are. Okay, the captain's question is, what is the name of the freighter? And there is no A, B, or C on this one.
Oh, this is a hard one.
As Monty has said it, what is the name of the freighter?
Gosh, yes, he's there. Will he be able to take a stab at that, though? I think that's a really hard question. To be fair, Stu Plum has won anyway.
You win it by a long shot. Well done.
Is it not even multiple choice?
No, it's not even multiple choice.
You know what Dean sounds like on the captain's questions? He makes them super hard.
Do you want us to give a multiple choice?
Yeah.
All right then. Is it called
How about A, Sanctuary?
Yeah.
B, Sanction, or C, Serenity?
Sanctuary, Sanction, or Serenity? Good choices there. The only other thing I was going to say, which it kind of relates to Denise Crosby leaving and the whole ripping the badge off her chest and all that kind of stuff. And like you were saying in the last episode about, Sue being one of the few slightly better written characters was, this is why Beverly left effectively. If you read, is it Maurice Hurley, I think? If you read his account of why she left, is because she was too difficult and a really poor actress, and she was too much trouble. If you read everybody else's accounts and her accounts of why she left, it was because of the sexism. She kept calling it out, and they didn't like that because she wouldn't just be a good girl and be quiet and sit in the corner and do what they said. She went on about it, and she got punished for that. And one of the things that I read this week, which hadn't really occurred to me, but oh my God, is it spot on? She said, in the whole of series 1, there wasn't a single scene that was just her and Troy, or her and Yar, or Yar and Troy.
No,
not a single scene.
There isn't, and they're hardly used.
I mean, they're poorly written. They're badly scripted. They're hardly used. And the fact that there's no all-female scene in the entire first series, and the fact that Crusher Gates McFadden kept calling this out, and they just sacked her for it. And yeah,
I have to admit, and this is honest now. I hadn't realised how badly those characters are written until I've now this time gone back and watched season 1 again.
And I don't want to get into any kind of argument about it, but you moan a lot about the fact that there are some stronger female characters in Discovery than the male characters. A lot. And what I've tried to say to you is what you don't understand is women have been having that tenfold in almost every single story or TV episode ever for the last 100 years. And you've complained more about Discovery in the last year or two than I've probably complained about this my entire life. So what you're seeing is just a tiny fraction of what we've been through. So just empathize with us more than moaning about it.
I will empathize, but I will also moan about it. I'll compromise.
But at least as a guy, you moan and you don't get punished for it. But as women, if we moan and we speak out about it, certainly in the past, we would be put down for that and punished for that.
But that's the thing is, I think it should be consigned to the past. And we should be more than what we were. We should be better than that now, rather than just repeating the same things again, but just in reverse. I just think it just shows we haven't really learnt. But anyway,
I don't think we are. I think there can be some series with stronger men and weaker women, and some series with stronger women and weaker men. The thing is, it's always been one way, and now there's one series where it's the other way around, and it's a massive problem.
It's not. It's every series. It's every series. It is.
You only notice the ones where it is. You don't notice all the ones where it's the women still in crappy roles.
All the ones I watch. Yeah.
But you also have to take it into context. It's the 1980s. This was filmed, so it was that's the lead roles of strong women wasn't really on the horizon at all, rightly or wrongly. Like female directors, female writers.
Well, there were some roles with strong women in it. You know, Ripley in Aliens and Sarah Connor in Terminator and very
Buffy the
films.
Vampire Slayer.
Well, that's more 90s, but yeah.
And this is more 90s, though, isn't it?
Well,
it's
not
89,
season one. This
isn't
is
it?
88.
89. Oh, right, okay.
It's actually filmed in 87, but was aired mainly in 88. But yeah, I mean, TNG does go into the 90s, and I think it does get better as it goes into the 90s. It does get better gradually. But Star Trek doesn't really improve until Deep Space Nine, I think, in that regard, where you get some really strong female characters. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I think that, as I say, that in the 80s, I think there were more in films of good, strong female leads than there were in TV series, and it wasn't like that in the 70s so much, because you had like Wonder Woman and things, and Bionic Woman. You know, you did have some strong female-led shows, but in the 80s, that was a decade where that just dried up, and it just wasn't the thing.
Even then, a lot of those characters were, you know, dressed up in spandex, and you know, we're still quite sexist the way it's done.
Put it this way: they didn't have much room to manoeuvre in those costumes whatsoever.
No.
So we have an answer.
Yes, we have one answer from Stu Plum.
Stu Plum, you are rolling this up tonight and doing so well. He actually said he made a note of it, and he actually answered that the answer was sanction. So well done. You get
correct. Perhaps he didn't even need the multi-choice.
No.
Is that 176 points he got?
76 on the first, and then he's got 150 this time round.
It's 100 points. Oh, right. Okay. So, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, that was right, because he got the extra point for scoring it.
The first episode, 50 and 100 on this one.
Wow, you're a 2-point winner tonight, Stu Plum. So you know, you did draw a win last week. So if you would like to guest star on an upcoming episode, you can feel free to come and join us.
So
just let us know.
2.5.
Is that going to be a yes, Stu Plum?
We'll let him have a think about it. He had an option last week and he just didn't respond. So maybe he was just being polite and, you know, sort of ladies first, or maybe he's not interested.
That's what it was. Yeah.
We'll see.
Right.
So scores
on the doors.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Karen scrambles for her paper.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to do the 2 scores.
I know it's not the thing that G-Star is adopting, but I am adopting these scores as in my season 1 scores. And
no, you and G both said you were doing that. I already, you know, you didn't say that till about halfway through though. So I was like, well, I said from the start, well, I'm basing this on, you know, there are better things like Best of Both Worlds and stuff. And then you were both like, oh yeah, but we're doing it season 1. But I've been leaving a lot of headroom for future series.
Okay.
I'm Craig Rebel Horwooding it. Like on Strictly, they don't judge like the best dance each week as being a 10, do they? It gradually builds up as it gets better as it goes along.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
4 and what?
Oh, sorry. 4 and a 5.
4 and a 5 and a 5 and a 6.
So Karen and I both on a 5. G-Star did a 4. So he did 6 and 4, and I did 6 and 5 this week. So we were very close.
Yeah, G-Star said it was a good moral to the story, but the episode is a bit dry and boring. I don't think scripting and the characters were strong enough to emote to their plight. To their plight.
What did you give it, Mass? 5?
5.
And G a
gave it
4.
4.
G gave it a 4.
Yeah.
5 overall.
Yeah.
And Karen gave it a 5. Clearly, she was correct.
Spot on.
This one.
Yeah.
I
Stuplum
don't know if
gave it 6.
Stuplum gave it 6.
Yeah, which I think
They were all
5,
pretty
6
much of a muchness,
around
really.
the middle. I think. Yeah. It was one that I could have gone. I could have gone with a 5. But I went with a 6. I thought it was. I quite enjoyed it as episodes went. It was okay.
To whether he wants to come on the show, Stuplum put, I am 74.
And
What does that matter?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
in Star Trek: The Next Generation, age doesn't matter.
No.
Correct. You don't have to, you don't have to say too much if you don't want to. But we know you can use StreamYard because you once came on a live gym session that we streamed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Do you remember that one, Karen? And you were giving beer to your doggies? Doggy beer, I hasten to add, for those who are thinking animal cruelty.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bottom sniffer beer.
That was good. Good
was
day.
Something that the Klingons will probably drink, bottom sniffing beer.
Let's have a quick look at how that's affected the. So the last 2 episodes, Symbiosis comes spot on in the middle with a lot of the other average episodes, and Arsenal of Freedom, comes a little higher.
Yeah,
and
in the top sort of 3 or 4.
Yeah, top 3 with 1100 being the top one, Naked Now and The Battle being joint second, and The Big Goodbye and Arsenal of Freedom being joint third.
I'd say that's about right to my mind anyway.
Yeah, that's about right. I find that I actually enjoyed that a lot more than, say, The Naked Now, actually, which I've always liked The Naked Now, but watching it back, it wasn't quite as good as I remember it being. Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah. I don't know. It's all much of a muchness, I think.
Really good action in Arsenal of Freedom, but just for the lols in Naked Now. I mean, the stuff with Picard and Beverly, it's just hilarious. No, Doctor. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And if you prick me, do I not bleak?
Yeah.
It's just so funny. Anyway. Well, I know we've had a small viewership tonight, but I've enjoyed myself.
We have had a small viewership, and we've had
Stuplum's off.
Stuplum.
See you next week, alive.
We've just lost our only viewer. But yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. We've had issues with the internet, and we've had issues with our co-stars, and we've had issues with people being too busy. But, we've enjoyed...
I meant to do this at the top of the show, but I wanted to give a shout out to Rich Allen and Chelsea Allen in Canada. He did text me this week, and he said he feels like he knows a lot about how we're doing and stuff because he's been YouTube stalking us and watching all of our material.
Oh
So
well,
we've got
hi.
a couple of viewers in Canada, which is nice.
Hi, Rich. Chat. Hope you're, enjoying our wacky TNG coverage. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you did pause for a second there, but you're back now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now,
Yep.
Okay, I had internet issue then.
yeah. You just look like you were sat
My
there
Wi-Fi
smiling. I
dropped
hadn't
out.
realised you'd paused. I just thought you were sat there smiling.
Oh, right. Yeah. Next up, next week, we have The Skin of Evil. Ooh. And
That's the episode I think
I
I
have
watched.
to watch it.
yeah, you have to watch it. It's,
That's the episode I accidentally watched.
Ah,
how is it?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though I did tell you which episodes.
I did. I think there was an issue with where I went and where it was labelled because I did actually watch an Arsenal, but I think the labels have got mixed up. If
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So The Skin of Evil and Will Always Have Paris. That's the The two.
Oh.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think there's another holodeck episode, isn't it? Will Always Have
Yeah.
Paris. Yeah. And that leads the week after will be the last 2 episodes of season 1.
Wow.
So,
Exciting.
Where's
yeah.
that season gone?
Yeah, where has it gone? We are thinking that after this first season, we might go down to just 1 episode a week. So just give us more time to chat about it and less pressure to get the episodes done and noted in a week. It'll give us a bit more freedom and there are some good episodes in season 2. There's some dire episodes in season 2, to be fair. So still going to be a bit up and down, but I think we haven't finalised that yet. But I think I'm thinking that way. I am thinking that way.
I'm happy with whatever.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, thank you for coming and joining us tonight, Crystal Karen.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been lovely to see the other side of the screen.
Yes.
Next time you'll have G-Star back to normality. The 3 of you.
Get back to a standard setup.
3 tears.
I'm sure we'll have you back on again if you're up for it again in future.
Yeah, all you've got to do is win another week of points.
Yeah. You're not quite up and running yet, but you might want to plug a possible future YouTube channel.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm just in the process of set up my first YouTube channel. It's going to be one of 2. One is called Beyond Touch, and it's more of a lifestyle stroke about all sorts of things that my passions are. It's just crystals, healing, Reiki, energy, all of that type of thing, practicality. And Monty Van himself has actually experienced one of those, which is called Law of Attraction. And perhaps I'll have you as a guest on my YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
Do a session of Law of Attraction, Moon Manifestation. And then the second channel, which I need to set up, is going to be an English Springer Spaniel. It's Loki and Thor, the two boys of mine. They'll have their own little channel for bottom beer and also all the adventures that they get up to.
You can have like little doggy cams.
Yeah, attach a GoPro to them and
That's awesome.
see a walk from their point of view.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Strap a GoPro to Loki. Good heavens.
Yeah. Just see a tongue sort of hanging out there, like,
It'd be like, you'd be on a, what's they call it, a gimbal, because you'd be like seasick.
Yeah.
So Beyond Touch is actually already up. I'm just putting bits and pieces to it, and I'll do my first video with the help of some professional called Monty Van helping me on what to do and how to do. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, we'll get that up and running. And and I might be able to talk about it as a part of the diet podcast maybe at some point. Talk about healthy living and all that sort of thing.
It will cover food, and it will cover lifestyle, it will cover lots of things. But I think the aim of it for me is its practicality and easiness, and I don't want to sit on a pedestal and preach, because that's not my style. It's about what suits you and how you can adapt to your lifestyle, just small changes and just doing things to improve your life. Whether it's bringing in abundance into your life, whether it's making life slightly easier, anything on those lines. And crystals, of course. Hence Crystal Karen. That's my gaming name.
Many crystals.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Karen, for coming along. And thank you, Mazam Bob. Thank you, everyone in chat, especially Stu Plum. Thank you for coming along and answering our questions. At least there was somebody out there. And we'll see you next week for Skin of Evil, and we'll always have Paris. Good night. Cheers. Slick, mouse, slick.
Where's this one?